Welcome to the briefing on Prince George's County's Better Bag Bill of what municipalities need to know and how municipalities can help. My name is Martha Ainsworth. I'm the chair of the Prince George's Sierra Club Zero Waste Team and also the Maryland chapter of the Sierra Club Zero Waste Team. This webinar, well, it's a briefing sponsored by the Prince George's Sierra Club in Sustainable Maryland. The Prince George's County Better Bag Bill was passed back in June by the County Council, and it'll go into effect on January 1st. So 3 municipalities, College Park, Greenbelt, and Laurel, already passed bills of their own, and the county bill applies to all the rest of the county, including the 24 other municipalities. So the objective of this meeting, this briefing, is to share what your residents and businesses need to know about the Better Bag Bill, what the county has been or will be doing leading up to the start on January 1st, and what one municipality, College Park, has done to roll out its own bill, which went into effect on September 1st. And we want to highlight in the discussion, we want to discuss how municipalities, counties, and the nonprofits like the Sierra Club and Sustainability in Maryland can work in partnership to make Prince George's Better Bag Bill a huge, huge success. So today we have 3 speakers. I will be explaining the intent of the bill and what it requires. To discuss the rollout of the bills, we have Jessica Moore, the recycling section manager at the Prince George's Department of Environment. She's going to discuss the county's rollout. And we have Ryna Quiñones, communications and event manager for the city of College Park. Thank you both for coming. Denise Curry was going to be here, but she unfortunately is out sick. So thank you very much, Jessica, for stepping in. We'll take a short pause after the presentation of the bill, which I will do. And we'll, if you have any questions about the bill itself, I'd be glad to take them. And then Jessica and Ryna are going to go over their rollouts, and we'll open it to broader discussion if that's okay. Nicole will be or dealing with the Q&A part. She will start by reading out questions that were sent in advance, and then she will take questions. Now, it's really hard to follow the questions in the chat. So what we're asking to do, we've set this up as a meeting, not as a webinar, is if you have questions when the time comes, just raise your hand and Nicole will recognize you to ask a question yourself, and you can turn on your camera, but unmute yourself for sure. This briefing is being recorded. So with that, I don't think there are any other logistical questions. Let me go ahead with the presentation of the Better Bag Bill. Gary Young is behind the scenes, and he makes everything happen here. Thank you very much, Gary. All right, let's launch the PowerPoint. So I'm going to talk about the Better Bag Bill and what you need to know. This is a tiger shark about to ingest a plastic carryout bag, probably somewhere in Southeast Asia. Go ahead, Gary, next one. So first, let's talk about why we have this bill. The world is facing a plastic pollution crisis. By 2050, estimates are there'll be more plastic by weight in the ocean than fish. And plastic carryout bags are a major contributor. There's about a trillion bags used annually in the world. That's an estimate. And they're among the top 5 plastic products collected in beach cleanups. Now, the Sierra Club has done surveys of shoppers coming out of grocery stores in Prince George's County, and in 2019, 88% of them were taking plastic carryout bags. Only 6% had a reusable bag. And to put that in context, I mean, we estimate that county residents are using 353 million plastic bags a year, which is really shocking when you think about the runoff going into the Anacostia River, Patuxent River, the Chesapeake Bay. So they do pollute our waterways, they threaten wildlife and human health. You may have heard in the last year or two that scientists estimate that human beings are ingesting a credit card's worth of plastic every week, as much as that. Next one, Gary. The plastic carryout bags are manufactured from natural gas, and they contribute to climate impacts at every stage of production, from extraction of the gas to production of the plastic to transportation and incineration. A lot of them are incinerated in Maryland because of our two incinerators. And so really bad for the climate. There are very few plastic carryout bags that are recycled. You'll see on the right side of the screen at the top, those are plastic bags wrapped around the screens at our materials recovery facility in Prince George's County. They have to clean those off every day at the end of the day for several hours in order to work the next day. It's really pathetic. The EPA thinks only about 5% of plastic carryout bags are actually recycled. So this is all preventable single-use waste because there are alternatives. There are paper bags, but they also have big environmental impacts. So what the county's climate action plan calls for is to reduce waste in the landfill, so both plastic and paper bags, and to eliminate single-use plastics and move to reusable bags. So that's really the objective. And I just wanted to highlight this because this is data from Prince George's County. On the left is a pie chart showing the percentage of shoppers exiting stores in 2019 in Prince George's County. Look at the bottom of that left pie. We visited 48 stores, observed an hour at every exit, almost 8,000 shoppers at those. That's all the stores in those chains in Prince George's County. So 88% basically of the shoppers were taking plastic bags. Only about 6% were taking reusable, and 6% were taking no bag, almost no paper bags provided because they're pretty expensive. And I want to point out that this has not changed. We started surveying stores in 2012 and we did it again in 2014. And it's really been pretty much solidly the same, about 87 or 88% of the people taking plastic bags. Now, on the right side, we've shown what happens at Aldi and Lidl. For those of you who haven't been there, Aldi and Lidl do not provide single-use plastic bags, and any bags you want at the checkout, you have to pay for. The dark green wedge is those who have a reusable bag. That is 48% of the shoppers come out with reusable bags, 46% don't have a bag, and very few people have a single-use bag. So that's really the objective of this bill, is to go from the situation on the left to closer to something that's on the right. And most people will be bringing their own bag or just not taking one. Reduce plastic pollution and single-use space. And at the right here, you see one of the publicity shots for the Better Bag Bill. It's called Bag It Right. It's county's campaign. But above all, we want to incentivize shoppers to bring their own bag or not take a bag at all. Next one, Gary. So there's two big features of the bill to get people to bring their own bag. First, beginning January 1st, retail establishments may not provide a plastic carryout bag to a customer unless it is reusable. And I want to emphasize here that a carryout bag is a bag provided at the point of sale. It's not a bag from elsewhere in the store, like produce bag or all those other bags. We're only talking about a bag at the checkout. And those are the bags that are involved in this bill. A reusable bag in this bill, these are bags that the stores can provide. It's a bag with stitched handles that's specially designed and manufactured for multiple reuse and made with either cloth or other washable fabric or a durable material suitable for multiple reuse that is not plastic film, and has to have stitched handles. So that's part one of this. And the second part of this strategy is to require retailers to charge and retain at least 10 cents for paper or reusable carryout bags. And that's a minimum charge. Basically, we want them, they have to be able to pay for the bags themselves, and we want them to encourage people to bring your own bag. And when you have to pay for an alternative bag, then you do bring your own bag, I think. So that's the bottom line. It's time to bring your own bag. Next. So here's some photos of carryout bags that can be provided. We have paper bags, of course. We have a canvas reusable bag. They all have stitched handles. And even the heavy duty plastic bags, so long as they have stitched handles, durable, durable plastic bags that are not plastic film, those will be allowed. And this is what can be provided by the store. You can bring in any bag you want of your own, but these are what can be provided by the stores. Next slide, please. These are the bags that will not be provided at the stores. And all of these bags are plastic film. The one at the far left is the very thinnest kind that we're used to. There are a lot of thicker versions that are film, and those won't be allowed either. They really aren't used very often. You can see they have glued or fused handles. They're not very robust. One more, please, there, Gary. Some of these can be tricky. This is one that has a fused handle that looks like a stitch. The red one. The one on the right is a compostable bag. Those are also part of the prohibition. When discarded, unless they go to an industrial composting facility, they will not break down. Next. So there's some things that the businesses need to know as well. First of all businesses are affected that provide single-use plastic bags to their customers at the point of sale. This would include not just grocery stores, but clothing stores, bookstores, shoe stores, hardware stores. All of those stores are affected. Businesses are required to post a notice at the public entrance or at the points of sale, or both, in English and Spanish, that advise customers to bring their own bag or skip the bag, and that all carryout bags provided by the retailer are subject to a charge. The signage is really important. There's so much turnover of customers and of checkout people. It is really important to have something at the checkout to remind everybody that this transaction has to occur. You have to pay for a paper bag if you're going to take one. Okay, the store is also required to record the number of paper reusable bags on their receipt and the amount charged. There will be a holiday during one week of the year, promotional week, where stores may offer free reusable bags, get people used to them. There's no restriction on offering reusable bags before January 1st, by the way. And of course, anyone in the community can provide reusable bags. We're talking about stores providing them at the checkout. There are a couple of exemptions from the paper bag charge. Paper bags with prescription drugs in them that you get at a pharmacy, those aren't really considered carry-out bags, so they will not be charged 10 cents. At drive-through windows at restaurants, those paper bags will not be charged, and for leftovers at restaurants. So I have some frequently asked questions here. The first most common question is, why are we charging for paper and other carry-out bags? By the way, the city of Laurel banned plastic bags in 2022. And what happened is that they went from 85 or 86% plastic bags to 68% paper bags at their grocery stores. So everyone switched to paper, and now there's a lot of paper waste. So now Laurel has added this 10-cent charge for paper bags. That's their bag bill of this year, to change that. So the reason we have this charge is to get people not to switch to paper bags, but to go for reusables. It also promotes transparency and is fairer. The cost of bags that are complimentary is really part of the store's overhead. So everybody in the store pays for them, whether they bring their own bag or not. So under this scenario, people who take a bag pay for it, and people who bring their own bag don't. And then, of course, we don't want paper bags because they're one of our solutions for climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. They also, the manufacturer of plastic bags, of paper bags, has a lot of air pollution, water pollution, and health impacts for nearby communities. So that's why we have the charge for paper and other carryout bags. Next question. It's very important to have an inclusive approach, universal behavior change. We want to ensure that all shoppers, especially those low-income shoppers, are aware of the policy. Again, back to the signage as being very important. And that reusable bags are available to low-income shoppers. Anyone who wants to avoid the charge just has to bring their own bag. And that is actually the policy in all the places that have approved bag bills in Maryland so far. That has been the strategy to make sure everyone can participate. There are no restrictions on the carryout bags that customers could bring to the store. You could even bring a backpack, you could bring a beach tote, you could bring any bag you want, even a single-use plastic bag that you decide to reuse as many times as you can. The restrictions are only for what the stores can provide. And if you look at the bill itself, there are what they call exceptions to the plastic carryout bag ban, but most of them are not bags at the point of sale. So they're not, that's the reason why you can say they're an exception, but they're actually not bags provided at the point of sale, like dry cleaning bags, fish and plastic bags at pet shops, and that kind of thing. So, okay. So for more information, you can go to the county website for Bag It Right. You're going to hear more about this from Jessica. We have a link there to County Bill 32, 2023, which is the full bill. There's also a link to the Sierra Club Zero Waste website where we have a lot of material on this bill, including testimony and another fact sheet of our own, and also Sustainable Maryland. Nicole, do we have some questions? Any questions on the bill that were provided ahead of time?
So a question for you actually is, what are the requirements for nonprofit organizations such as the Bowie Food Pantry participation within the bill?
So the food pantries aren't selling anything. They're giving away products, so they're not involved. They are not restricted on what bags they can provide. I would say that I investigated the Bowie Food Pantry last week and talked with them. They actually have been giving out reusable bags with their food at the food bank. It's actually the only food bank I've reached so far that does hand out reusable bags, depending on what merchandise they have. So the food banks should not have to worry. It could affect the kinds of bags that they get from their donors, but there's no restriction on what they can provide their food in.
Thanks. So there's no restriction on what nonprofits like food pantries can provide. So not necessarily restriction, but are there any things in place that help other nonprofits like faith-based organizations to be able to provide bags to their constituencies?
There are no prohibitions at all. No, not before and not during. Not after January 1st. The prohibitions are only about retailers and what they can provide at the point of sale.
Great,
So
thank
we
you.
can continue handing out reusable bags to people in need.
Great, great, thank you. So those are all the questions we had ahead of time.
Okay, let's move on to Jessica. It's going to talk about the county's rollout.
Well, hi, my name is Jessica Moore and I work with I'm the recycling section manager for the Department of Environment for Prince George's County. And I just wanted to share a little bit about the things that we've done as part of the rollout for this, what we have deemed the Bag It Right campaign. So here are a list of some of the things we have already done. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but we did issue a press release and it has been in newspapers. We have digital ads. We have social media. We have informed all of our 311 operators about it. We've created a business toolkit on the website. We have these graphics. I know my department itself has distributed about 1,000 bags just this fall, let alone probably another, several thousand over the last couple of years. We've had an interview on WSA 9. And at every event, we have discussed with the public that this was coming. And from my experience, almost all of the people I have interacted with to tell them that this was coming, they've actually responded with, "Oh yeah, I heard it on the news." So from the anecdotal evidence I have seen, a lot of people already know that this is coming. So that at least works well for all of us. We do still have some other things that we're still going to do. We have a business mailer that's going to go out to all Prince George's County businesses, explaining to them their role in this rollout. We have some radio spots that are coming, billboards, advertisements on bus shelters. I think some actual buses, maybe. Don't quote me on that. But we've also doing our best to find even more money to create even more bags to share with some of our own internal programs like social services. And sorry, there we go. So these are some of the tiles that we're sharing on social media. And as you can see, there's a QR code. The information is only been in Spanish so far in the social media campaign, but there will be a whole Spanish section on our website. It just hasn't, we just, are trying to play catch up to get all of this out. But if there's any additional information anybody needs, we obviously are happy to have you come to the website, or you can contact Recycling Plan at co.pg.md.us. And I can put that in the chat if anybody wants to write that down.
Ryna.
Oh, thank you very much. And hi, everybody. I'm Ryna Quiñones. I'm the City College Parks Communications and Events Manager. So our Better Bag bill went into effect July 1st, 2023 of this year. And so to do so, of course, we had quite a big launch. And so I figured I would kind of do a brief rundown of what we did. Of course, when the bill was approved by our council, we had a press release for it that went out, and we did get some mass media coverage. Local news stations picked it up, as well as local newspapers. And then we, from there, continued the rollout. And if you go to the next slide, if you don't mind, we started putting articles. We actually have an example right here, a local newspaper that we have an insert, and we provided articles to that also covered it. We have newsletters, a weekly one that is emailed, a digital one, a monthly one, along with this insert, and we created lots of kind of information about it, about what it means. And as the rollout got closer and closer, we adjusted the articles accordingly. And so, for instance, this was in August focused on the reusable bag that residents could request. Next slide, please. We also, of course, did quite a bit of a social media campaign. We had lots of graphics that went out, a variety of types, to try to get the word out again that our, sorry, it was September 1st. I don't know why I said July 1st. Better Bag Ordinance was going into effect very soon. Kind of what was prohibited, what was allowed, and what was encouraged. And we used a variety of graphics to get that out. Next slide, please. We also did 2 sets of mailers. We did one resident focused postcard and one business focused postcard. So the resident one went to all residences within College Park, and then we also targeted commercial entities throughout the city. And they had also a revised postcard that provided a little bit more information about how it would affect them, and where they can get more information, who they need to speak to for details. The resident one focused on also how they could get the bag. We also created for quite a few of our stores and retail establishments, particularly grocery stores, store signage and point of sale flyers. So for instance, this is one that we did in Spanish. We had it in Spanish and English. It was like a 12 by 18 poster, if I'm not mistaken. And it was to be used kind of point of sale or in the displays or windows or wherever the store thought best to display it for people to have that information. Our Office of Economic Development really took the lead on a lot of the business communications. So we also had emails that went out specifically for businesses. There was also a lot of personal interaction, drop off, all of that stuff too. Next slide. We also distributed a key facts flyer, not only to businesses, but to local schools as well. What we would do, some of our local schools have food pantries or also have where we can, especially elementary schools, where per PGCPS approval, we are able to put kind of PSA flyers in where they're distributed. So that's what we did. We also distributed the information to our food banks and farmers markets. And as University of Maryland, we also provided it, and it was a front and back flyer that we distributed, and there was a few different versions. Next one, please. We also, as part of the rollout, we designed and created these reusable bags. We featured animals and wildlife from the Anacostia watershed. So that's why we have otters and turtles and a bunch of other really nifty, like cranes and other plants and animal life. And to distribute those, we actually did a multi-pronged approach. We distributed again to local elementary schools, and especially to the ones that have food pantries, and they were able to distribute it along with when they give out food. We gave it to the University of Maryland through the Student Government Association, who then also distributed to students, I believe, to also the campus pantry, things like that. We distributed bags to our senior housing areas as well as our city seniors program. We also gave it to like the College Park Community Food Bank and other food banks, the farmers market. The city's Youth Service Bureau has connections and has a Hispanic parent support group that was also given a lot of bags. And of course, our Economic Development Office distributed to businesses. And so, yeah, and we created a website, a standalone website or a page with lots of information about exceptions, FAQs, everything. And then we also created a way for people to report non-compliance. So that's, I hope that helps. And that's kind of what the city did. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thanks, Ryna. Thanks, Jessica. So I saw a few questions in the chat for you guys, but I do want to address some additional questions that we have that were sent in before the meeting. So this question is for both of you. What are you doing to ensure that low-income residents have reusable bags? So can we start with Jessica since she's from the county?
Sure. As I've said, we've been giving out reusable bags for years at any event that we have. But I believe our communications department is working with our social services department for distribution of bags as well.
Okay, so that would include like programs like WIC, which someone mentioned in the chat. Okay, Ryna?
We would leave it to their discretion how they would distribute it, since they are the ones that maintain those programs.
Got it.
So the city doesn't have a social services department, but we do have a youth service bureau. So We utilized a lot of their connections to the community to help get the bags out, like I said, to like the Hispanic Parent Support Group. We also reached out to our local elementary schools, our particularly our public schools, and gave bags to them to also distribute as they saw fit. To the food banks around who we already knew were distributing food to people. And so we also gave them a ton of flyers and bags as well. So we had as kind of a robust, sorry, I have a very unhappy Weimaraner, robust strategy as we can to try to get a lot of our community. We also targeted we have some senior housing areas, and we also gave bags to them so they could distribute it to residents as well as the seniors program.
Great, thank you. What can municipalities do? How are you guys communicating with municipalities who haven't done such an excellent job in like College Park and haven't yet implemented their own bag bills? What are you guys doing to communicate with the municipalities to help make this bill successful?
We can only help the municipalities and guide them. So we are more than happy to share. And all of these things that we have done are countywide, regardless of whether you are within a municipality or not. So these are things we are doing countywide regardless. But we are more than happy if a municipality wants to reach out to us and, ask for additional assistance. We will certainly do our best. But we are not targeting specific municipalities outside of our general informational campaign.
Great, thank you. Let's go to the hands raised. I see Lauren, you've had your hand raised for a second. Please ask your question.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it, and I appreciate y'all folding this. And of course, just like you have a dog, I have a cat who now is all of a sudden saying, "Hi, I want to go outside. Let me outside." Quick question though to College Park and to is it Nikki? Nikki? Is that how I say it? Nikki. Quick question is if it is a countywide law, what is and I know that there's ethical and municipality interest to issue their own municipal law on top of it, but what is the driver that would make them different between municipal law and county law, or is it just a re-emphasis? So I am one of the municipalities that does not have a law. I'm in the town of Brentwood and I'm a council person, and I'm interested in trying to help our residents and our businesses, participate in this campaign, but just want to learn a little bit more. Thanks.
Right. So typically when, and not just with the Better Bag Bill, but with any law that the county enacts, municipalities have the ability to enact a bill that is actually more strict than what the county requires. But at a base level, if we meaning municipalities, are going to enact our own bills, they need to at least meet the minimum requirements that the county has set forth. So that's the only difference. We can meet the requirements that the county has set forth in municipalities, or we can implement our own municipal legislation that is more strict than what the county requires.
So Ryna, you probably weren't in the room as a communications director person, but did you understand why College Park decided this was something that, I know that College Park has a lot of establishments where there would be a point of sale of plastic bags. So it might make sense because of the amount of businesses that they have, but do you know what their motivation was for introducing the bill?
Sorry. So I actually cannot speak to it very much because I was not, like you said, I was not in the room when that was being discussed. I know our Committee for a Better Environment, which is a council board and committee, had been interested in trying to do things to reduce of course, waste that goes to the landfill. And so the city has been doing a lot of sustainability initiatives over the years. So I can't really speak to that aspect. I'm happy to try to get more information for you. And I can put my email and I can connect you better to the, our Department of Public Works was kind of lead on this process. So I'm happy to connect you with them so you can get a little bit more information of how that happened. But I know a lot of it was through our one of our board and committees.
That would be great. I actually did some analysis between your bill and the county's bill, and there's a very slight difference, but I'd like to know like what, you know, some of the motivation was or discussions that were held on how to do the bill. And if I can ask one other question, Jessica, thank you so much for everything that the county's done. And I know that you have created some materials in Spanish. The town of Brentwood, we're a very small town. We don't have very many establishments that would provide plastic bags at point of sale, but we have a lot of residents that, you know, we need to educate, right? And the majority of our town is actually Hispanic, Latino, Spanish speaking, either entire, you know, as first language or as multiple languages. And you have some materials that are in Spanish. That's very, very helpful. And we're actually, just for your own counting purposes, this coming December newsletter, we're going to put in our newsletter one of the English and the Spanish social media, you know, clips that you have there to let folks know in advance. But is there any way that, you know, if we have an event coming up, that we can ask to pick up some bags to be able to distribute them as well? Is that an option at all?
That I honestly would have to get back to you on it, because I know that we have exhausted at least my department's stock. So I know that we have to wait until we have done some of these other projects, including the mailer, and then see how much budget we have left over in order to even see how many more bags we can buy this year. But you can certainly ask if we can come and participate in your event, and we will certainly do our best to have a warm body there to talk to people, if that would help.
So I want to ask Jessica, I think this is a question for you in the chat here. What are the penalties for non-compliance in unincorporated areas? And then we'll move on to Jody.
Okay. The first violation, if we are called out for the first violation, it will simply be a warning. But additional violations past that could result in up to a $500 fine.
Thank you. Okay, Jody.
Thank you very much. I think the discussion earlier was kind of aiming towards where I was headed in terms of cost of this program. If we're looking to create bags of our own, if we're looking to mail things out to our residents, does anybody have any estimates? I'm looking at you, College Park, as to what it cost you to do this up to this point.
A great question. In terms of mailers, I think it is very dependent on how many residents you have and how many you're sending it out to. If I'm not mistaken, something like, I think we didn't send it on because on-campus has a completely different mailing system. So any kind of on-campus housing is extremely hard to mail things to. But we did do all off-campus housing and stuff like that. And I believe it was like 11,000 addresses or something like that. I hope I'm getting that right. And I think I want to say it was around 5,000 for a postcard. And now that was a postcard. It was not a letter. You know, there's always, if you do a letter versus a postcard versus the size of a postcard, there's differences in pricing, but I would estimate, you know, to budget anywhere between 3,000 to 6,000 for something like that, especially if you're also doing commercial entities. And we have a lot less, I guess, addresses for commercial entities, but still, it went out to quite a few. So, and we thought it was very important to target both. and to have differences in both because they have different needs and they'll have different questions. So that's why we kind of split and had those two different things. In terms of getting bags, I know our PE, who was kind of lead on initiative, was were very specific as to the type of bag that they wanted us to produce, and it had to meet a lot of criteria that they wanted. Not just like the stitching, they wanted something that was, I think, made of certain materials and, you know, could do certain things. So we used the same printer that I believe Fairfax County used when they were producing reusable bags, and had those done. And so it was a full color, full bleed bag. And I want to say for like 4,500, it was about 11,000, something like that. So they're certainly not cheap, but we're hoping that the community really uses them and reuses them and utilizes them quite a bit. So we tried to make the design as attractive and as eye-catching as possible.
Good point.
That
Thank
helps.
you very
Thank
much.
you, Ryna. We have Connie.
Good evening, everyone. This is Connie Serrano, council member for the town of Edmonston. I just wanted to share that I actually was working at the county council when this bill passed, and I've already seen a few materials from the council and also our county executive about this bill in English and Spanish. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to reach out to their prospective council member because they do have this information already that you can share with your residents.
Thank you for that. Do we have any more questions from the audience before we turn it over to Martha for a few additional items? All right, thank you. With that, I'll turn
No,
it back
just
over to
thank you
Martha.
for having us.
Thank you.
What we'd all like to know is how can we work together with municipalities to make sure this job gets done? And there have been a lot of suggestions here. I mean, I think some of the municipalities don't have businesses, so it's mainly an issue of keeping the residents informed. But I'd really like to hear more from the municipal participants here, what you think you could do. I will tell you that we haven't talked much about the Sierra Club. We've purchased some reusable bags, and we've been researching, since we're county-wide, we've been researching the food banks and trying to reach out to them to find out, you know, how many clients they have per month and whether they hand out bags already. And we're looking to find a way to put some kind of brochure in everybody's hand who's at a food banks in Spanish and English, so that they know that this is coming and they won't be surprised, and try to mobilize enough bags. We don't have nearly enough bags ordered for this. We don't have big resources, but we're going to start that. And so if anybody's interested in joining us in making sure that people at the food banks that are nearby any of these municipalities have bags, that we'd be delighted to collaborate.
So what I want to ask the folks from the municipalities then, what is it that you think you would need? What type of support do you think you would need? And how do you see yourself working with and engaging with the county and your representatives to get the support that you need to be able to help this bill be successful?
Hi, Nikki. I'm Rod Barnes, the town administrator in Edmonston. So we like to think of ourselves really as the greenest community around. So obviously we want to educate that, and that's why I'm on here today, is I wanted to hear what the county was doing so that we kind of knew what we needed to do and take action to get that education out. We are, as our council member said, we'll be talking to our county district representative, but we don't have a lot of businesses per se in Edmonston, but so that's why it's important for us to educate. And we'll use our social media, our communications director, and I'm so glad to see College Park, because we'll be getting a hold of College Park to look at their materials and get that out. We want to do the reusable bags to all of our residents, so we have 325 homes and 156 apartments. So we want to get a bag to each one of those, and we'll probably do that during our Christmas caravan that's happening in December. And we try to get information out that way also. So this has been very helpful, Nikki. We appreciate and Martha for having this, because it really gets us excited. We clean up the Anacostia every year during Earth Day, and we find all those darn plastic bags. So we want them gone as much as we possibly can.
Thank you, Rods, for sharing that with us. So we have maybe 6 minutes left, so I'm going to turn it back over to Martha if we don't have any more questions. And with that, I'll say thank you again to Jessica and Ryna.
Thank
Martha,
you for having me.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Ryna, are you raising your hand or you're
Thanks.
waving?
No, I was just saying thanks.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I wanted to mention, and I think, Gary, if you can share the slide, that we're part of a movement. You may not know it, but on the last year, 10 Maryland jurisdictions have passed bills almost like this one. Only one of them didn't have a charge on plastic. The ones in green on this table are all places that passed plastic bag bans, and most of them with a charge for the paper bags, some similar to the Prince George's bill in the last year. And a lot of them are going into effect. You'll see Prince George's, Anne Arundel, Laurel's adding this charge to their existing bag ban, Greenbelt, Centerville and the Eastern Shore, Easton and Salisbury, as well as College Park, have already implemented theirs. And this is a wave. And it's, if we ever want this to spread beyond our county and municipalities, we got to make this work and show everyone it works. If we ever want to get this on a larger scale. So all of these other places are also thinking about it. And in fact, as municipalities, we do have contacts in Salisbury, Easton, and Centerville, for example, which have already, well, Centerville hasn't rolled theirs out yet, but Salisbury and Easton, where they faced pretty much the same issues as College Park in getting them rolled out, if you have any questions. So let's make this a huge success. Let's rid ourselves of single-use plastic litter and single-use waste and energize our communities to start bringing their own bags. And Gary, I've just put up the contact information again. And I'll send this, I'll send these presentations out to everyone on the list. And we'll also put the contact information for Jessica and for Ryna. And also for me, of course, you'll know who I am, but we'll send this around to everyone, and you know, we're all here to help if you have any questions. And thank you for everything you can do. Have a happy Thanksgiving.